Hello, so part two of the Whipsnade tour so far. So let me remember where we got up to. So one bit I missed out from this corner here. This is our otter enclosure. So yeah, fairly basic again, although a bit tricky in the terrain, trying to get the actual boundary fence in there, plus the moat and the sort of hill in the middle was a bit tricky. There's also the keeper area sort of underground, so I've tried to make a little indentation there for where the keeper area would be. But yeah, that's a bit of a tricky one. A lot of the smaller things, especially because they are so small, um, for smaller animals, they're hard to do to scale. So we don't have a ginormous red panda enclosure because in reality, most zoo enclosures for red pandas are quite small because the animals are small themselves. So yeah, these sorts of enclosures are quite challenging in their own different ways. Again, the terrain there was a bit of a nightmare, but we've coped so far, and from here it should slope fairly nicely up and not be too much of a challenge, and then be flat up there. So that's quite nice. Back across this way. This main enclosure here, so this is for zebras and waterbuck, which is an African antelope. Obviously they're not in the game, so we've got wildebeest in here instead, and then the plain zebra. Again, a massive area for them, with a few trees dotted about, a couple of sandy bits, so a few trees and sand I'm yet to put in, and a lot of planting around here on the outside as well. But the actual basics of the enclosure are pretty much there. Again, the ha-ha being a bit of a nightmare, but it's all sorted now. I think I've got the technique for that fairly well now. Same sort of house as some of the antelope for the zebras, and then this is the waterbuck house, a bit more basic, just a big house there, and then one big yard. The planting down here is all done pretty much. This is actually one of my favourite views so far, just through the trees there at the Gow House. I don't know why it's not the most thrilling view, but I just like it, and I think if you go on Google Maps and you look at the point from here and you look down, I think it actually looks quite accurate, really. So I'm quite proud of that part. If you carry on down here, you've got the Nilgai house, with the couple of yards, one big house, and then this enclosure on the corner here is for flamingos. So big pond in the middle, and then space all around the outside. Signage, I'm just kind of putting basic bits in, and there's a bit of fencing work to do there. This is the house. So yeah, from the outside, bit of Z fighting or whatever you call it in there. But yeah, little off-show bit in there, bit of trees, little wooded area, and then following the road around this way. This is where we have Blesbok. So that is a small African antelope. I'll probably put one of the gazelles or something in its place in this enclosure. Again, fairly straightforward. Bit of water, some trees. A few of these enclosures have little field shelters in, so I've just kind of made basic versions of them. I've just used the new bamboo piece just because it's, I don't know, it gives that kind of wood panelling but fairly light colour. I don't want to have to make sort of small buildings like this with hundreds of pieces just to make it look right, so I'm kind of giving myself a little bit of leeway there with some of the elements, because this is going to be a big zoo and a big project, and if I want to do custom fencing and things like that, it's going to take up a lot of pieces. So yeah, I'm gonna cut corners where I need to, and where I think it won't make the biggest impact. So yeah, this paddock, fairly flat. There's a few little hills and ditches and bits. House over there, a couple of sort of electrical points and things like that. So this is where the entrance to this drive-through area is in real life. I'm debating trying to put some sort of safari ride truck thing going through it to mimic the drive-through, but I'm not sure if I'll actually be able to make that work. There's another smaller paddock at the back there. These can be separated or opened up for one species if needs be. So a lot of the bare areas around, in between all these paddocks and things, need to be filled with loads of trees and plants and stuff, but I'm kind of leaving that out until all the main enclosures and bits around the enclosures are done. So I've kind of put the odd tree in here, and then that whole bit there is done. Same for down here. In this strip down here, there's loads of trees, loads of big trees in there, but until I've done this paddock here, I think it will make sense to leave that so I can see everything properly. So yeah, in this corner, a few bits. I think I've covered everything that's actually so far in the game completed, or mostly completed. So plans for this bit. So this enclosure here is cheetahs, and all this backstage sort of areas for cheetahs as well. So that whole portion here, and then this bit here is for hippos, common and pygmy. Then we've got Przewalski's horses in that bit, wild horse, which I'm hoping we'll get in the game. They're in Zoo Tycoon, from what I remember. So I think they're quite a nice species. Probably not too tricky a model to make from the zebra or something like that. So yeah, we've got that bit there. This section is going to be tricky with terrain because it slopes down, and then there's a big drop here where this is flattened, and then this is a big hill going up. That's kind of almost like a valley that goes down here. So that's going to be quite tricky with the terrain. In this portion we have scimitar and oryx, which I'm hoping will be added to the game as well. They're one of my favourites. And then lions back here. Little enclosure for meerkats. I've seen quite a few nice sort of exhibits that we don't have the animals for, suggested exhibits kind of thing. So I quite like the idea of that. So like I say, there'll be a few paddocks and things like that where I'll just leave them blank, and hope that we might actually get those animals added to the game. Here, red river hogs we used to have there. I'll probably put the warthogs in there, but a lot of the areas where there's a lot of trees, so this whole area there's loads of trees, and it makes it really difficult to measure it all and stuff on Google Maps. So that's why I've left that bit till last, because I think it's going to be confusing. Up in this side, this is for the hunting dogs, African wild dogs. Loads of planting needs to go through here. This whole bit is a big woodland through here. So I've done the basic bongo enclosure, laid the actual enclosure for the dogs out, but yeah, a lot of work to go through that lot. This portion got holding for zebras, cranes, and then bison in there. We've got Europeans, but I'll probably put Americans in there. We've got red pandas here, and then down on this side. So most of this hasn't even been laid out yet, but we've got a big lake here for waterfowl, so that will probably just be left blank because we haven't got any birds really. So yeah, I'll make it all and leave it blank probably. We've got ostrich in here, and then this whole area is an Asian animal area. So we've got yak in the middle. I might use the llamas in their place, potentially. And then the drive-through portion, as I said there, I haven't got any deer to go in there, but I might make do with the doll sheep and pronghorns, something like that, just to give an idea of what's in there. And then we've got sloth bears and more Przewalski's horses. I'll probably replace sloth bear with maybe the black bear. And then we've got Asian rhinos down here, which I've made houses for a few of these bits already. They just need to be put down. And then the elephants, like I said, will probably be missed out in this map, because they're over in this side. And then this portion here is farm. We've got another couple of smaller bits, sea lions, lemurs, chimpanzees down here, all the entrance area and And then we've also got a big sort of reptile house and butterflies, aquarium, that sort of stuff is all in this portion. So yeah, there's a lot to be doing, but I'll get around to it all eventually. So yeah, as I said, I'm kind of now working my way out for the bits that I've already laid out to then progress further outwards, because I think that seems to be working best, really. Yeah, so that is my zoo so far, completed pretty much. There is a bit more back here, some off-show areas that I could do, just some paddocks, and then there's a golf course actually that cuts through a chunk here. So I'll either probably just leave that blank, maybe just kind of slightly theme it and just make it look nice, landscape it a bit. But yeah, that is overall my my plan for the zoo. I think I'm hoping that we get a few new animals at some point. The South American pack, unfortunately, we don't actually have any South American animals that sort of are in these enclosures. We've only got Rhea, which they didn't add to the game. So yeah, in terms of the South American pack, I wasn't able to add any new animals in, but like I said, I might use the llama for the yak replacement, just because they're, you know, another kind of mountainous animal who stock. So I think that's quite a nice replacement, and at least it means I've made use of the South America pack, but I have used it in a lot of the building pieces. Yes, that is pretty much it. So yeah, I'll probably try and make some more videos to show the progress as I go on, if people watch it or people enjoy it. And yeah, I'll keep posting with progress, and hopefully you'll see the zoo transform even more, and it will look exactly like the real Whipsnade Zoo.